Hello, everyone! Blue Star Saber here once again to do another movie review, but this time with
Sorry, I couldn't hold back. MangaReader here.
yes, MangaReader here, and as you can probably tell by the avatar, we are reviewing Sonic the Hedgehog 2, the
Yeah,
sequel.
see, take that.
Yeah, a fitting avatar for today's review, if you and discussion and all that stuff. As we
Spoilers.
as we summarize this review and discuss, let's see, the sequel to the popular, let's see, first video game live adaptation of Sonic, Sonic 2, in which has Tails and Knuckles in, compared to the first one, which was, oddly enough, one of the last few films to come out before the whole pandemic got really crazy back in 2020, and ended up being one of the highest grossing films of that year as a result of it.
Better than the Marvel movies that came out that year, too.
Let's
Number
see.
one superhero movie. Actually, I think around the time it was Birds of Prey for the first one. But still, that one was funny. Outdid Birds of Prey easily.
Yes, outperformed, let's see, the Birds of Prey. Let's see, and also ended up being, I believe, the second highest grossing video game movie of all time at the time, behind Detective Pikachu.
Yeah, probably.
But then again, I suppose I shouldn't be surprised, as Sonic is perhaps Sega's most iconic, as well as one of the most iconic video game characters of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon is a top $5 billion franchise, if
Yes.
not top 10.
Yeah, it's the highest one with over 100 billion.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, it does not surprise me.
Yeah.
I'm
There's
surprised that
nothing.
Yu-Gi-Oh ain't up there, but the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise doesn't do nearly what the Pokemon franchise tries to do. So,
Yeah. Pokemon's and cards, games, figures, merchandise, TV shows, comics,
well, there are
movies.
TV shows and mangas for Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's a card game. A very, very, very intricate card game.
Well, yeah, but it's mostly the card game that
It's
Yu-Gi-Oh is
mostly the
famous
card game.
for. Pokemon just has a whole
Everything.
field of dominance in many areas.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
But yes. But yeah, but unlike, let's see, Sonic has always been, of course, an iconic character. He's also been a bit of a hit and miss when it comes to like the gaming community, from what I can tell.
Sega does Sega does no favors with their gaming, but their marketing plan for Sonic typically is fairly decent. There's a shit.
Yes.
Quite a lot of merchandise out there, both for this movie and for, just Sonic in general.
Yeah. But granted, let's see. Male Grays, let's see. It's still hard to believe that they're finally doing a Sonic movie, and it looked like there would never be a sequel if if they stuck with the original animation design.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sonic is like, for the first time ever, the fan rage was actually listened to and improved things.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there that kind of think that, it was just a publicity stunt, but I mean, who knows? I mean, a
Yeah,
lot of people probably don't believe that, but I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
it is
pretty
kind
sure.
of weird.
Yeah, I doubt. Let's see, they would have spent $5 million extra dollars for a publicity stunt like that.
Yeah, I know, because there was apparently merchandise for the original design for Sonic.
Yeah,
It
but
just seems kind of weird that it took less time. So the only reason why it probably even exists is because people probably think that maybe there was a design fairly close to what ultimately ended up being. I know they brought in the Tyson Hess, who is kind of, I think, a semi-official Sega artist these days,
okay.
and he ended up like truly like re-envision what Sonic should look like if it's going to take on a more live action role set. So again, with how quick it came out, though, based on what it is, hence that's why the theory kind of even exists. Because it didn't
Yeah,
really. I think they pushed it back from February to April.
Yeah, but it was something along the lines of that. Let's see, which is around the time when the pandemic was starting to close up. Let's see, starting to lock down and all that stuff.
Well, this was
Yeah.
2019, not 2020.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. 20. Oh yeah. Sorry.
This wasn't even before. I mean, I guess you could say in China they were discussing the coronavirus, but around
Yeah.
this time, no one really.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm pretty. Let's see. Well, my only other theory is that they possibly had the design already made, but they went with the. But for some reason, went with the, and
The
what was
lesser.
yeah, the lesser design. Thinking,
Probably not that. Like it probably was that they had to redo it from scratch, but somehow
yeah,
they pulled it off
yeah,
rather quickly.
yeah. I think it's like okay, we just need. Then again, I guess it's just like we only need to do the CGI scenes. We don't have
I
to like
just remember
technically reshoot
the,
reshoot the scenes.
right.
But, yeah.
Well, I just remember reading an article from the people that did Detective Pikachu saying that yeah, I mean it's a lot more difficult than it sounds to be replacing footage that you already basically made in that sense for the animated character because the character has to interact with the scene properly. So just because you remake it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to interact properly based on how it was scaled. So
Mm.
there was some work behind it. And like I said, everyone was impressed by how quickly it seemed to come together and how seamlessly it seemed to work as well. So
Yeah.
hence why we have people that theorize.
Yeah. Granted, well, let's see, might have been critically mixed, but then again, that's quite positive for most video game movies since they usually end up being negative. So, and let's see. So, as an achievement, and they did a sequel, and at the end of that sequel, and at the end of the original, they teased the return of Tails in the movie, which makes me wonder if Tails had a different design as well that we did not know about that, but then they changed it to a more accurate. It's like, okay, we changed Sonic, but we also got to change Tails.
Who knows? Maybe they didn't even think Tails would be a thing, and then they added it at that point, knowing full well that they were going to go for sequels at that point.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, but who knows? They'll probably never. But they'll probably never tell us and all that stuff.
It's a trade secret at this rate.
But yeah. But yeah, but anyway, Sonic ended up, let's see, grossing up to 319 million.7 US dollars. The sequel was announced for like 2022. And the director was determined to add a bit more Sonic lore into the movie, which we already know Tails was coming in, though depending, I guess, let's see if you paid attention to any of the news thing and all that stuff.
Yep.
Or if you just got, like me, surprised in the trailer that Knuckles was going to be in the movie.
Yeah, I think there was like something before that anyway that someone got like leaked footage that Knuckles was there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the role Knuckles played, and we'll obviously discuss that when we literally discuss the movie is something to behold. But yeah, the first movie, what you said, it grossed $319 million.
Yeah.
It had an 85 to $90 million budget. So definitely, I just remember that Sega didn't back it at first, but I think they went into it now backing it 100%.
Probably because it's also the most popular thing coming out of Sonic right now.
Right. I'm just thinking because I don't think they backed it originally because they were like, this probably is going to flop. And then once they fixed everything, it's like, oh crap, they got it working. Let's get it back into.
Yes, and revitalized interest within Sonic, given how Sonic Forces caused a bit of controversy again for the Sonic fan base.
Oh yeah, well, never mind. I was right. Well, you were partially also right too with the whole Corona thing. I forgot that it came out at the very very start of 2020.
Yeah,
but
so I just
the
got
trail.
got in the cinema just in time before everyone was like, let's see, locked out. Though whether or not it would have done even more money pretty in a non-pandemic world. I do not know, but nevertheless, it made triple its budget, so it was a box office success.
January 25th for the Paramount, my birthday, February 14th for literally everyone, and then somehow in Japan it released in June 26th. So I mean, by that time, I'm assuming they had some form of restrictions, but were letting people in theaters.
Well, I do know that Demon Slayer was released some point in 2020 in Japan, and it did make like half a billion. So,
well, Japanese animations always tend to do really well over in Japan.
Oh yeah, true, but that's like it's never that well. But yeah, but
well, Demon Slayer somehow one of those.
Yeah. But let's see. But no doubt, Sonic was probably also did well in Japan.
I'm curious though if half of that really was just because people wanted to get out.
Possibly, but who knows? But yeah, but let's see, like iconic movie character. So yes, I mean iconic game character. So yeah, people will come out and all that stuff. And I guess even the same for iconic manga series that's just getting popular with its anime. Sure, why not?
Right.
But anyway, but yeah, back to Sonic 2. So we all knew that Knuckles was going to be in it, and from what I could tell from the trailer, many of the reactions, people were very hyped. Perhaps the most hyped people have been for Knuckles in a long time, but that's probably more for discussion later. So it looked like, let's see, so that was going to be, let's see, Sonic was going to go and fight Knuckles for like most of the movie in Sonic 2. We're teaming up with Eggman, and many people were wondering just how much of like the video game lore was going to be adapted and all that stuff. But shall we now get on to the summary of the movie? Let's see, MangaReader.
Should we get into actually discussing the movie? Why, yes.
Yes, I think this prologue has gone long enough, so on to the actual movie.
Of course.
The movie pretty much leaves off about 6 to 8 or so months. I mean, close to a year from what I can recall. 8 months. Yeah, 8 months from what I can. Yeah, it's 8 months.
Well, yeah. Well, let's look at the Wiki. Yeah, I'm actually doing that too. But still, yes, 8 months.
Yeah, 8 months in which Dr. Robotnik plans to escape to there, tricking some alien and animal creatures. I can't really tell what they were exactly. I'm not sure, but during this attempt to escape, he also draws the attention of Knuckles, who notices Sonic's one of his porcupine points, and is asked, where did he find this? As we see Sonic going out back in Earth, trying to become like a sort of Batman vigilante and fighting crime, trying to stop a armed robbery and all that stuff, but causing quite a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Let's see, and when he heads back to let's see, I'm trying to remember the location of the first.
They're in Green Hills.
Green Hills, yeah. He's out fishing with Tom, who is at this point his best friend, but is slowly turning into his father figure, if you will, telling him not to rush this whole hero thing, and that his moment will come and all that stuff. With a little joke about, did you get that from Oprah? But anyway. Sorry, what? You were going to say something?
No, I mean, yeah, Sonic's whole quip things are kind of more dated based on my aged.
It's a joke of the times, you could say.
Yeah, having Sonic quip real life people is kind of weird considering, but it's hilarious nonetheless. Kids.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Sonic. But anyway, Tom and his wife. Just trying to remember her name. Just getting cast up. Let's see. Maddie Wachowski. Let's see. Going to go to Rachel. Let's see. Maddie's older sister's. Yeah, older sister's wedding and all that stuff. Which she's getting married to a man called Randall and all that stuff. And they're leaving Sonic with the dog back in the house, and telling him to behave and all that stuff as they're gone. Of course, using Sonic's rings to teleport. Of course, Sonic, once he's gone, ends up mucking about and partying with the house. So due to his speed, he can, fix things in a second. But anyway, he gets attacked by Knuckles and Eggman or Robotnik as Eggman, Robotnik, June Carrey, blah blah blah. They end up having a fritzy fight. Sonic gets his butt whipped a bit until he is rescued by Tails, who informs him of the situation of like the Echidna trying to find the Master Emerald thing, in which eventually Sonic runs into, I believe, Sonic and Tails end up running into Wade Whipple, the deputy sheriff of Greenside and all that stuff. A few humorous moments, but then Sonic gets the scroll message, the scroll with like the map locations, in which his mentor slash parental figure, I believe, trying to recall what his Longclaw is, reveals the history of like her people who apparently fought the Echidnas for the control of the Master Emerald, who they felt like either one or the other side felt was too dangerous to have the other wield the power and all that stuff.
Wielding obsession of the Master Emerald.
Yes, so Sonic and Tails, go out to find the Master Emerald, but first trying to find the compass, in which I believe they go to one of the Nordic countries of Europe. I believe, Siberia, I think, where they're trying to find the compass and the temple there. And during that place, they ran into the locals there, and they have a dance-off. In which Sonic and Tails ended up bonding quite a bit during this, as Tails ends up revealing his backstory about being bullied for his two tails on his home world, and he had watched Sonic from afar and came to admire him as a hero, if you will, and to, of course, bond over this. Eventually finding the location to the compass, in which I should probably mention at this point, at first, Knuckles and Robotnik were going to go separate ways until Robotnik heard the power of the Master Emerald and offered an alliance with Knuckles, and also reuniting with his minion or henchman, if you will. Let's see, what's his name? I believe it's Stone. Yes, Stone. Who at the time, for the most part, with Robotnik's absence, end up making a sort of like owning a latte calf, which is just a secret cover up for Robotnik's lab and all that stuff.
If you're a true Sonic fan, the name of that coffee shop should probably catch your attention.
Well, I am probably not deep into my Sonic lore, so you're going to have to probably explain it to me.
Oh, it's just called Mean Bean Cafe. If they back in the day, there was this video game called Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, or Eggman's Mean Bean Machine. Essentially, it's a Puyo Puyo knockoff, which was also a Sega game. So
fair enough. I see. But anyway, to catch up to speed of that, Sonic, Tails, battle Knuckles and Robotnik throughout the snowstorm and all that stuff. However, eventually Robotnik has managed to grasp the compass, though due to the fact that Sonic chooses to save Tails over him, which gives Knuckles a bit of mounting respect of the honor that Sonic has. Though granted, they did have a bit of a moment to bond a bit, where Knuckles reveals that he is the last of his tribe, as his father and the rest of the Echidnas who went to go battle Longclaw there, or ended up perishing apparently. With Sonic also saying how he lost his mentor, parental figure as well. Though granted, Tails' intervention caused any chance of those two forming a bond just then. Null and void at that point, but yeah. And granted, this is also the one scene that caused a bit of controversy with a former comic book writer known as Ken Penders. But that's probably more into that later.
Oh boy, yep.
But yeah. So anyway, during this time, as Sonic and Tails are going on their adventure, Tom and Maddie meeting Rachel and Randall and at the wedding. Rachel still hates Tom, though seems to partly let go of no, maybe not as holding much as a grudge as she probably should after being tied up in her house. So, though Randall, seemingly the cool, chill, future brother-in-law, if you will, ends up being nice and giving him advice and trying to be nice with Rachel and all that stuff. And just as they're about to just as the wedding ceremony is happening, Sonic ends up asking Tom to use the ring they gave him to teleport them out of the snowstorm thing because they lost all the rings during the fight. However, due to a little game that Tom was playing with Rachel's daughter Jojo earlier, he ended up accidentally swapping the rings, so he's trying to get the ring off of Randall, and a rather funny and awkward thing with eventually resulting to punching in and throwing it. Snow comes out as the two, Sonic and Tails end up in the snow thing with a funny line from Rachel about how there's two of them and all that stuff. However, it's revealed that the whole wedding was a setup as, Gun, a new organization called Gun, led by the general from the last thing that asked Robotnik to investigate the power source. And Randall is in fact a government spy posing as a fake fiance, much to Rachel's fury. And they arrest...
I'll give him credit for this. The Gun doesn't really have any, in the actual Sonic lore, there's no real outside of a commander, there's really no given Gun character per se. So them giving it makes sense, obviously, that they have to in a movie give Gun people.
Didn't they have one for Shadow the Hedgehog game? Or
like I said, that's the commander, but outside of that, it's really just random grunts essentially.
Fair enough, but yeah, Commander Walters, played by Tom Butler.
Yep.
But yeah, who formed Gun in order to try and deal with terrestrials like Sonic and blah 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 in the future. So Tom, Sonic, and Tails all get captured, and then it's up to Maddie and Rachel to go rescue Tom, which they managed to do with the trio with Tails' gadgets and all that stuff, in which we get a display of them throughout the bit, which eventually Maddie rescues them while Rachel goes to confront Walters and Randall and all that stuff, who has had doubts and second thoughts of betraying Rachel like that, and has actually fallen for her. The one thing you should not do undercover, and they make up. While Tom and Maddie warn them that Robotnik tries to warn the head of Gun that Robotnik's back and he's on a evil campaign now and all that stuff. Meanwhile, Tails ends up getting hurt during this, and Sonic decides to go out alone, reaching Master Emerald's island and all that stuff. With Sonic, as they arrive there, with Robotnik and Knuckles arrive there first because they have the compass, escaping a few traps for a bit of difficulty, though Sonic easily goes through it. Knuckles and Sonic have their final fight of the film as they have an epic battle out, which was hyped up in the trailers. Meanwhile, Robotnik sneaks in to get the Master Emerald. And just as Knuckles is about to win the fight, Sonic ends up informing Knuckles that Robotnik's stealing the Emerald, revealing to Knuckles that he's double-crossing him, didn't consider him a friend and all that stuff, betrays him, absorbs the Emerald and its power for himself, turning his suit green and all that stuff, giving him floating and magnetic powers as he escapes, as it looks like Knuckles is about to trap and die in the flooding temple, though Sonic saves him, and Knuckles saves the two. Knuckles ends up asking why Sonic saved him, him doing the right thing. The two make up, become friends, and with Tails, they all agree to team up to face Robotnik, who's repaired back in Greenside, where Tom and Maddie, the general, and Wade was stung and all that stuff surrounding the calf, with Robotnik coming out, controlling all the metal and gadget and metal devices around, forming the iconic giant Eggman robot boss fights, I believe. Or at least one of them, at least. I'm not sure which one. I think the one from Sonic 1 or Sonic 2.
What? Sorry.
The giant robot.
Oh, yeah, that's from Sonic 2.
Yeah, Sonic 2.
Death Egg Robot? Yep.
Yeah. The Eggman robot causing havoc in the area until Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles arrive as they fight it. At first not doing well, but then as they begin to more work together as a team, they eventually are able to swipe the Master Emerald off Robotnik, and it ends up getting broken into the small Chaos Emeralds, which I forgot to mention earlier, that the Master Emerald in this movie first. I'm not sure if that's the same case of the game initially, where the Chaos Emeralds all form together to make the Master Emerald, or was that different?
I'm pretty sure even in the movie that they explained that the Master Emerald is the basically the master of the Chaos Emeralds, because they do mention the Chaos Emeralds in the movie themselves.
Fair enough.
This being slightly different, obviously, that for whatever reason the Chaos Emeralds form the Master Emerald. That's not the case in the games, but I mean, movie's gonna movie, so
yeah. Let's see.
It's slightly following the lore per se, because yes, the Chaos Emeralds are subservient to the Master Emerald.
Plus, I'm pretty sure it'll take a very long time to try and find all 7 emeralds.
Yes.
In a 2-hour movie.
Yeah, they're not gonna do these special stages. They're probably it's best that they went just looking for the Master Emerald and then having it basically subsert to, oh hey, they're made up of the Chaos Emeralds. So if you break the Master Emerald, you got the Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah. So yeah, during the fight, eventually they managed to remove the Master Emerald and the Cuvity from Robotnik's clutches, though he still is able to control his robot quite well. Eventually, Knuckles and Tails get drawn out of the fight, and Tom and Maddie come to rescue Sonic and all that stuff, who was a bit injured. However, just as Robotnik's about to finish them off, Sonic, using the power of the Chaos Emeralds, goes into Supersonic mode, defeats the Mecha Robotnik toy, giant robot, causing it to crash down. Eventually, with Robotnik's fate remains unclear. Sonic, no longer feeling he needs the power of the Master Emeralds, though not before quickly creating a quick chili dog and all that stuff. Let go of the power and the emeralds scatter. Though granted, the shattered remains of the Master Emerald form back together as its own separate thing, no longer needing the Chaos Emeralds. With Knuckles deciding to stay with Sonic and Tails to form a new tribe as they guard the Master Emerald and go on all kinds of crazy, wacky adventures. Adventures. Sorry, I said Avengers there for a second. So yeah, with Sonic now supposedly getting parental figures with Tom and Maddie, and friends/brother figures with Knuckles and Tails. End up spending the rest of the movie playing a baseball game, which Knuckles has no idea how to follow the rules of.
Yeah.
Before taking away the mat, before having a bit of going off to some ice cream. And with one quick joke of oops, almost forgot the Master Emerald. Ending the movie with a post-credit scene with I
was going to say before that, though, that Knuckles, for anyone knowing to any of those that know the Sonic franchise, yes, Knuckles has the ability to restore the Master Emerald. So that's actually within character for him. Albeit he does it slightly differently in the movie again, but he does have the ability to recraft the Master Emerald. Just wanted to point that out. We don't want to get to the save the after credit scenes.
Yeah. The post-credit scenes, we have the general and his assistant trying to find Robotnik, because there's no sign of him, assuming that he's probably perished within the explosion of the robot. Though his minion Stone, as dressed up as one of the gun agents, has managed to escape, and it's clearly he's up to something.
Mm-hmm.
However, one of the assistant to the general ends up pointing out that due to the outbreak of the Chaos Emerald, Master Emerald, and all that stuff, as we awakened Project Shadow after 50 years. The film ends with the iconic Shadow trapped in his sort of tube thing, as he awakens, revealing that Shadow the Hedgehog and all that stuff, ending the film.
Yep. Shadow the Hedgehog. We're getting a movie 3, guys. A movie 3. Something that never looked like it was even going to have a sequel in the first place is getting a third movie.
Yep. So
it's also apparently getting a spin-off.
Yeah, we'll get more into that first. But first of all, let's get into the actual movie. What did we like? What did we dislike? And all that stuff.
What did we like and dislike?
Yeah.
I guess maybe you should go first since you don't have apparently as much Sonic lore as I do.
Yeah.
So.
But see, in game lore, not so much. When it comes to the cartoons and comic books, I've got a bit more knowledge on that stuff. That's more my
you
fault.
have the Sonic X lore.
Yes, I have this. Yes, I've watched
the Sonic X lore. It's mostly the game lore then.
Yeah.
Except for Chris Thorndike, who never exists in anything.
Well, from what I can tell, season 1 is mostly original episode stuff, though with a few bits of games. Season 2 is mostly based on Sonic Adventures 1 and 2 with some other game stuff afterwards, and then season 3 they've gone back to original content stuff with those plant alien mechas.
Yeah.
But anyway, when they ran out of games to adapt. But anyway, yes. So I have personally quite enjoyed the first Sonic movie, and I was quite interested in seeing the Sonic 2 movie, especially when Knuckles was there, because Knuckles was for the longest time was at one point the second favorite behind Sonic until like Shadow the Hedgehog came along, and also Sonic has a declining reputation due to his portrayal in the games and some of the later cartoons, but. Like that. But yeah, I was really excited for like the Sonic versus Knuckles showdown and all that stuff. I felt like, let's see, first of all, I do like how Sonic, who is voiced by Ben Schwartzky, who I mostly know him as Dewey Duck in the 2017 DuckTales.
Ben Schwartz.
Yeah, Ben Schwartz is sort of still going a bit through like the sort of character development of like as I do believe the movie version of Sonic here is a bit less. It's a bit less, confident and a little insecure about himself compared to say like the Sonic from the games and even some of the TV shows, who's 100% cocky, if you will.
They made Sonic in this movie, really in these last 2 movies, a little more kid-like per se.
Yeah, young and inexperienced a bit, but I think that was partly due to give him a sort of character arc for each of these films, if you will.
Per the norm of movie versus.
Yeah. It's not the most original stuff, but I think it works for what they're doing.
I suppose so, yes.
And I do like how, Sonic was finally getting friends from the first film. In this film, he kind of needs a family and all that stuff, and I do like how they evolved his relationship with Tom and Maddie to like what that of supposedly friends to more like that of surrogate parents and children and son, if you will, because that's kind of what it was. Kind of given how they gave him a sort of room at the top, in the attic at the top and all that stuff, which kind of feels like, okay, it's more like you're raising a kid here, which ends up being the case.
Yeah.
So I really like that, but of course the whole point of this film is to give Sonic friends, and who better than his sidekick / best friend Tails, and then later Knuckles, the sort of rival turned friend.
Yep. Well, that's how it goes in the
video
games as well, kind of. Knuckles isn't really an adversary. Well, yeah, he's considered an adversary until
in his first game, which I believe was Sonic 3, right?
Yep.
My understanding,
Sonic 2, despite being the second movie, actually kind of covers and ultimately ends up covering the next 2 games in the Sonic series.
A semi-merge of the 2 game storylines to create its own original storyline and all that stuff.
Yep.
But I think it works. I mean, I'm not going to do. They can't. Let's see. They can't just do one movie based off one video
One
game.
per game per section. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
the next one's going to be interesting to see because they're skipping an entire game at that point, unless they add, unless they merge those two games together.
I don't think that's going to be the case. I think. Let's see. But we'll get more to that a bit later.
Possibly, yes.
So yeah. So I do like how they've given Sonic that sort of character arc with like he gets like a young best friend to look out for and all that stuff. Thinks like he needs to do it alone, but of course realizes that he does need some friends about to help him defeat the bad guys and all that stuff, especially when Robotnik gets the power of the Master Emerald. I do like how they give Sonic a sort of that sort of noble side of it, if you will, like when he had like all the power in the universe, but he just gives, but he only needs it for like the chili dog and then gives it up because he doesn't need it.
Right.
So I quite enjoyed, and I also quite enjoyed some of the references Sonic does. I mean, I'm a big fan of the Winter Soldier, so that joke against Knuckles being the Winter Soldier was quite hilarious. But yeah, I also do like how they tie into how Sonic's past with like Knuckles' past with like the two. Let's see, with they're both losing their sort of parental figures and all that stuff. But yeah, Tails. Let's see. I know some people have said feels like Tails didn't get to do much, but I think they had the right amount of screen time with them bonding and all that stuff. As Tails is the one that gets along well with Sonic immediately and all that stuff. Has even helped save him by stealing a police car, though, granted. It's a bit weird that Sonic needs to be in the police car when he can run faster than one, but heck. So there. Now, granted, I do know that there are two major criticisms with this movie, and one of them is the Sonic and Tails dancing with the thing, which I felt like... Okay, that lasts a bit too long, I will admit, and it feels like a bit ridiculous to have in a movie. But again, it's in the movie, but then again, Sonic 2 is a kids movie.
Yeah.
I mean, despite the fact that Sonic does have an old adult Sonic book fan base, the primary target appeal for Sonic is supposed to be children. So take it if you will. I mean, granted, it is a bit cringy that they do these in all these kid movies and all that stuff. These sort of they're like dance things. I mean, granted, I found it's nowhere near as good as the whole bar fight in the previous movie.
You like the slow-mo?
Yeah, when they did a sort of like a Quicksilver from X-Men.
Everyone does that, see no.
Yeah. No, granted, I thought the way Sonic did it was quite clever. Granted, I can understand why they felt like they couldn't really do something like that again.
My heart goes. Yeah.
No, I do like how they.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that was actually a pretty cool scene from the first movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. But I do like how Sonic and they use Tails' devices to create multiple clones of themselves and like do those dances. I definitely like how Tails is quite tech savvy in this film, as we see all his sort of gadgets and with not just the iconic plane, but also all these ones that later Maddie and Rachel used to get through all the gun agents, with one flying straight up to the air, and the joke about, is he going to come down, right? Which, of course, he eventually does.
And doesn't die.
Yeah. No, granted, like I said, this is a kid's movie.
Kids movie, we get it.
They're not going to do something as dark and morbid as like a death of a human. So there's that. I do think, like, let's see, but yeah, so he probably gets the least amount of development out of the three animal hero characters, if you will, but the bonding moments he has with Sonic, I think, are reasonable enough. And from the way it's implied with Tails, it seems like all the Sonic character animals, instead of all being of the same world, appear to be from a different world each. At least from the way it seems implied, like a world of foxes, a world of echidnas, a world for hedgehogs, I guess.
Well, yeah, I don't know where Sonic came from essentially, but yeah, I guess he would have came from a different planet on that one
Yeah.
because the echidnas and the Food Clan, whatever Longclaw's clan is called, I don't remember.
But enough.
Whatever the Longclaw clan is, maybe it's the Longclaw clan. I don't know. Yeah, they're from the same. They're from the same group.
Yes. So
they're from the same planet. The echidnas
and then again, Sega's never really revealed the origin of Sonic. To be fair, now granted, I do know that the Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric game was originally supposed to be a non-canon origin story for Sonic, but Sega got their sort of put a stop to that as they figured they might want to do that someday, and that caused a bit of the mess of like the Sonic Boom game. And arguably the long-term effect of the Sonic Boom franchise.
Yeah, it only got like 2 more games. Yeah, or maybe 1 more game. I knew it was Fire and Ice. That one actually was kind of.
There's also another
well
one.
Received.
Yeah, and there's also Shattered Crystal, but
I think Shattered Crystal is just Rise of Lyric on the DS.
I
could be wrong on that, but I thought that's what it was.
I think it's a sequel. I think it's a sequel because I know that Lyric is in the game.
It's a sequel. No kidding.
Yeah, Amy gets captured, and this time you have Styx playing, from what I can recall from some of the cutscenes I watched.
Maybe.
Yeah. Now, granted, to be fair, I've not really played the game because I never bought a Wii U at the time, though that was the case with most people.
Really, the only Sonic Boom thing I like from the franchise is, the
TV show.
The TV show, yeah.
Yeah. Arguably, the TV show with the most episodes, technically, I think.
Yeah.
Technically, you could argue Stritzy Sonic X if you just go by the 20-minute runtime, with Sonic Boom being more of the 15-minute runtime.
Yeah.
But either way. But anyway, back to the thing. But yeah. Let's see now. It's interesting how they did the different worlds things, but then again, Sonic's world in the game, it's a bit confusing, mostly because they refuse to call it anything, and you have both animals and humans, and you don't explain how the two are like different from each other.
Yeah.
But instead they decide, like, okay, for the movieverse, they're all from different worlds, and they're all coming to Earth and all that stuff, and that explains why. Let's see, that explains why we have Robotnik, we have Gun, etc., blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I liked how they did that. But I think the main highlight of this movie is Ritzy, and of course, what would probably be the make or break of the sequel is the portrayal and characterization of Knuckles.
Yeah. You like the characterization?
Yeah. Let's see. But one quick thing, I probably should mention that Colin O'Shanganisi, the voice of Tails in the games, also did a great job here in the film.
Colleen, yes.
Yeah. But yeah, this time Knuckles is voiced by Idris Elba, who I think was recently Bloodsport in the Suicide Squad, which was what I would say is and Chief Bungalow in the Zootopia movie, but yeah. But the Suicide Squad movie, which was quite good for DC and great film, though sadly bombed at the box office. But I think he did
one.
Yeah.
But
anyway, back to Knuckles. I quite like the portrayal he did of Knuckles of being like this serious, stoic warrior of honor and all that stuff, but socially awkward as he doesn't quite understand Earth customs and all that stuff. And he was arguably what most people were hyped for the movie, which, like I commented earlier, many people were excited for because, from many ways, this movie is portrayal. Who did a quite good job of the early portrayals of Knuckles, who over time became a bit dumber from my understanding from the video games, and even in the TV show with Sonic Boom sort of being the thing that sort of set that kind of characterization, at least with the video games, Dritzy down the line.
Yeah, they played a little bit more up on his gullibleness than they did. Really, Boom Knuckles did ultimately really take down the intelligence level, and that's what got fans really thinking into Knuckles as being just, the muscle-headed goofball that he is. But other forms of media really didn't make Knuckles out to be particularly dumb. Just it's kind of weird. In a sense, I guess they did, sort of, but didn't.
But yeah.
It's loopy. So, yes, they definitely needed to keep it.
And I do like how, despite the fact that he's like, despite the fact that that he has, and he also has, and now granted, I'm pretty sure he has his own powers in the video games, but but I guess the shows, for most parts, just super strength. But here in the movie, they give a sort of extra oomph to it by giving him this red glowing energy and all that stuff, and in particular, left the line of, "I don't need your power."
Yeah. Do I look like I need? Well, yeah. Do I look like I need your power?
Yeah, and he's quite the capable fighter. As technically, Sonic never technically beat him in the end.
Yeah. At the same time, I mean, Knuckles. I guess Knuckles did beat Sonic per se, but I mean, the reason he didn't beat him in the movie is, as he said, Knuckles was trained as a warrior his whole life. Sonic was kind of just, thrown in there to do what he wants.
Yeah.
Never really trained in anything, so.
Yeah. But I do like how the bond that Sonic and Knuckles makes, first with like the back of them both losing their parental figures and all that stuff because due to their war with each other for the Master Emerald and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I like
Master
that.
Emerald.
And and I'm going to get to the Ken Penders controversy about that a bit later, but eventually they are able to work together. But yeah. And I was very surprised that they ended up doing the Supersonic. I thought that was not going to happen until like maybe the third film, but they did it here, and I think they did it quite well, showing its abilities. Is it weird how a live-action Sonic book movie did the Super Saiyan thing much better than the Dragon Ball live-action?
Well, live-action didn't even attempt the Super Saiyan, so...
Okay, fair enough. Okay, then we have to be fair.
It was just It was just Dragon Ball, and all it did was Piccolo and Goku. So yeah.
Fair enough. Sorry about that. Well, I've got to show you that I have not yet watched Dragon Ball Evolution, and I'm probably lucky for doing so. But yeah, I like that. I
never saw it either. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, now to the human bits, which are probably where most of the criticism comes from. Well, not counting Jim Carrey, because let's see, he is perfect as Robotnik, the way he overplays the top. And I even like how they brought back like the assistant Stone, who's really, really loyal to Robotnik. When sometimes I'm wondering if he might be, if there might be some sort of romantic interest in Robotnik with his, idolization, but particularly with how he makes the latte. I do like how Robotnik has a taste for mushrooms after being stuck there for so long, 8 months and all that stuff.
Hates the taste of mushroom, but wants the taste of mushroom. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like how they introduce Gun in this and all that stuff, but yeah. I do, of course, like I mentioned earlier, I do like how Tom is like the parental figure for Sonic and all that stuff. But anyway, probably now to the actual controversial things. I'm not sure how. I think as far as I can tell, I'm not sure how many people like or dislike the way the idiot Feist cop thing, but I guess he's not in too much in the movie to annoy people. But one subplot that people, from what I can tell, did not really like was the Rachel and Randall one, in which the wedding and all that stuff, which many thought took too much time and all that stuff. Granted, it was a means of getting Tom and Maddie away from Sonic for a bit so he could go on this adventure with Tails. And to be honest, I do find the character Rachel funny with the over the top she is. Particularly when she got tied up last film. Though, granted, I thought she was not going to appear for the sequel, but she turned out she did. And she looks like she's got the perfect man, but it was an FBI, was a gun agent. I will admit, they probably went a bit over the top with how angry she got, but I found it amusing. But I do see how people would be like, this is a bit cringy, it's taking a bit too long, and I can understand why they did that. But overall, I think my enjoyment of like seeing Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles quite often, more often than not, I think, and of course Jim Carrey as Robotnik, I think the positives of that outweigh the negatives of this film. So, your turn, MangaReader. You've got some things to say. I've probably gone on long enough, as you've got all the Sonic lore that you can probably spout out.
I have the lore. I do have the lore. Yeah, Jim, I mean, for the role he's given, I mean, Jim Carrey kills whatever role he gives. Whether or not it's the perfect Eggman for some people is up in the air, because it's kind of funny because Eggman himself can be written comically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but, I mean, from what I can tell, he can be both serious and funny, depending on which form of media.
Some people probably might have preferred him being more serious throughout. You know, I mean, I know for a fact that the first movie's version of Robotnik, or Eggman, as he's always been called in Japan, was a lot of people for Sonic, the first Sonic movie, were kind of like, you know, if you're a real big Sonic fan, you were kind of probably disappointed because it didn't really follow anything per se, and you could tell it was more of a setup movie. So going into this film, you're like, okay, definitely now that they got everything out of the way, now the characters are going to be more like themselves. And they kind of were. I mean, obviously with Sonic, you have to be more our type of media cockiness than using modern day references instead of just being a cheeky kind of character. And again, because Sonic's technically aged down despite not being aged down. Like, they call him a teenager in this movie, and he is a teenager in the game lore. He's 15. The fact that he acts more teenage like, it's weird. It's essentially like you've made a new character without making a new character. So you can definitely tell Game Sonic and Movie Sonic aren't the same character, despite being the same exact character. So in the game, I mean, Sonic being the protagonist is essentially, you know, good at everything that he does, basically. Even though we've never really been given any real history as to how Sonic A got his speed, B, how he learned his style of fighting and all that type of jazz and whatnot. He just is who he is. Kind of like, again, Tails is who he is, Knuckles is who he is. Knuckles being really the only one who ever has any real backstory in any game, because yes, the Echidna, due to being the guardians of the Master Emerald, have the lore, mainly due to the Sonic Adventure, which I don't know if they'll cover that in the next movie or not. Obviously, they covered a bit of it anyway in this movie, so you just gotta wait to see if Chaos shows up. But I think the only one character that you could argue is probably like most accurate to their game is probably Tails. Tails isn't really much known for doing too much fighting in outside of the classic games.
Fair enough.
So they took on more of his modern role, where Tails is more of a Sonic's technical support / friendship supporter than on the field guy. Although he's capable of doing on field work, is shown in the movie as well, with confidence.
I believe the last game you could play as Tails was Sonic Heroes, and the last time he was in an active role was Sonic 06, if I recall.
You could play as him in 06.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
So it was only like you couldn't like play as him, but there were subsections in every hero, every character storyline. There were subsections where you play as their, support characters. So
okay.
With Sonic, you could, whenever you needed Tails, you could play as Tails, or Knuckles would show up, and you could play as Knuckles specifically because they were given roles. So yes, you could play as the characters, just not like they weren't vital. You could play as them. You just weren't. They weren't the focus, and you couldn't like choose to play as them. Essentially.
Okay. So anyway, I suppose you should. Fair enough. Thank you.
No, just get back to the movie review. Gee, thanks.
Okay, sorry. Continue on.
No, I'm messing with you, Blue.
Okay.
But I don't know if I necessarily care about human character involvements. Again, it's a live action movie. They're going to do whatever they want. It's still basically geared towards being a movie more so than a game, so it's going to have its own storyline, and I actually appreciate that, because if you're just going to retell a game, you might as well make that more of a series than a movie, because you're not going to get the most out of a game from just a movie. So Tom and Maddie they're written, I guess, as well as you could probably write them for characters.
Yeah.
Interesting choice to make Sonic basically an adopted child for them. Interesting choice.
Yeah, because last movie they're like best friends, but I think this probably makes a bit more sense if he's living with them.
Yeah. It's just interesting that they made it more like a parent, father-son role. I know they're best friends at the same time too, but it's pretty something special out there. But it's kind of hard to really fathom what I'm trying to explain here. What basically, if you were only an average fan of movie 1, you're probably a bigger fan of movie 2, because again, it had all the more game centric parts to the franchise itself, and it actually was a much better setup for another movie per se. I do remember in the first film they did reviews were saying that they wanted to use the Chaos Emeralds but didn't, so I figured that this one would definitely have them by that time. So it was pretty cool to see the iteration of Supersonic in even if it was overkill.
Fair enough. Yeah. I'd probably say that James Madison, the guy who's known for Cyclops, in X-Men, did quite a good role as Tom as usual. But yeah.
Yeah, he's a B-list actor per se, because he hasn't been in any like super major films. You could argue X-Men films weren't really all that even back in the day.
No, he always ends up playing the actor who seems to lose his love interest to another character, except for this one.
Oh, the one time he made out. Well, he's I'd say, if there were such a term, he's an A- guy now because of how good the Sonic films have been.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't be
even
surprised
if he doesn't play the biggest of roles still.
At the very least, you'll probably be the most recognized human,
Right.
besides Jim Carrey.
Besides Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and my friend, when we went to see it, we joked about the wedding scene. We're like, roll credits. It's all over, guys. We did it. We're done. It's the movie. That's it. The wedding is completed. I think that part being a cop-out was actually kind of sort of genius. Because it did set up for quite a comedic, and if you were going to introduce Gunn somehow, that made perfect sense.
Yeah.
Have it be like some form of undercover
I have to admit,
operation.
yeah, I have to admit that was I quite enjoyed it as well. I'm a bit surprised how many people seem to hate it.
I could, and I'm not necessarily a fan of it being as extended as it was, because I feel like it might have taken away from some more that they could have done to the movie.
Fair enough.
But I mean, again, the way that it just being so over the top for something that is still a government agency just totally fits within Sonic.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't fit the Shadow the Hedgehog lore set up for Gun, it just seems like something so over the top that would make sense. I mean, this is the same organization in Sonic Adventure 2 that had literally no way of distinguishing Shadow from Sonic, and literally brought full force heavy artillery and tried keeping Sonic locked up in a helicopter.
Fair enough.
So, yes, this is an organization that more or less in the game is also kind of semi-treated jokingly at times. So,
yeah. I think the more casual movie audience will think like, okay, is this the Sonic version of S.H.I.E.L.D. or something?
kind of. Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Guardians United against something, I believe. So, I'll say this. I mean, now that Knuckles and Tails are involved, I don't know how much more you can get out of Maddie and Tom, especially if they're going to still be in the next, which they should be in the next film. I just don't know how much. I just don't see how much of an active role you can give them, especially now that there's going to be bare minimum a fourth character.
Yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog, who I must admit I really like the design they've given out for him.
His remarkably works a little better than Sonic's.
Uh-huh.
And I know some people are like, well, the tan arms might not have worked, and I get it. I mean, can't go full movie or canonicity. Everyone's got to have the same arm color. I know blue arms still to this day kind of cause some controversy.
Yeah, it's amazing just how much the Sonic fandom can argue over the simplest detail.
So the reason I'm saying fourth character, because there is still a fifth character out there that they
could potentially bring in.
They theoretically should bring in. Maybe a sixth character too, especially if it's involving now.
So if I had to guess, I believe you're referring to Amy Rose and Rouge the Bat.
Yeah. Those would be the ones. I don't see how Silver could even remotely come into play right now yet. So
yeah, no, but yeah. Let's see. Now, granted, Rouge the Bat, possibly because they might want an undercover agent and all that stuff that works with Gun and all that stuff.
And yeah.
Let's see. It might be a bit much try and introduce her as well as portray her being like, the girl that's always in love with Sonic and all that stuff. Though there might be a joke of like Maddie and Tom saying, "Oh, Sonic's got a girlfriend now" or something. But
oh yeah,
I do wonder if the role that Amy has in the Adventure 2 games, because I know in the Sonic X series they replaced Chris with that role for Amy, where it's Chris that tells Shadow it's like
Right.
Mario would want you to help people and all that stuff.
Well, they had to find some use of Chris in that series since they introduced him.
Yeah, and they might do the same with like Tom or Maddie in the next movie.
Yeah, they definitely could do that.
But yeah,
I'm interested to see if they keep the Maria subline.
yeah. Well, I think they probably will do it because that is pretty much the main the whole point of like Shadow's character arc for like Sonic Adventures 2. But yeah,
Yeah, that's his main drive anyway, that we eventually learn about.
Yeah.
But I wonder. I know Jim Carrey said he's going to retire or is retired.
I suppose it's now time to get on to some of the sort of news things about the future of the franchise. But yeah,
I was just going to say that. Well, I'm curious to see if Eggman returns too for that. But you know, they definitely need Gerald Robotnik.
Yeah. He's retiring now, and it looks like Sonic 2 might be his last film. But he did talk about
which they already introduced through name, at least.
Yeah, and I do know that they did. Though he did mention how he'd like to see Robotnik in Sonic 3 with a fat suit. So
right. So maybe he's still going to stick around, kind of.
Yeah. Well,
which is funny because again, he's notorious for not being one to do sequels too often, or if ever. But I mean, clearly with this role, he either sees something or he just really enjoys it.
Yeah. So it might be possible he might try and just do one last film with Sonic 3 with like the Robotnik suit thing, and then have a way of either rewriting his character out of Robotnik out of the film series from now on, or find a way to have a way in which you can organically change Robotnik's appearance. Because I do know in the Archie
technology
comics,
nowadays, yeah.
Because I do know in the Archie comics, Robotnik actually died in the 50th issue and all that stuff, and he was gone for 2 years. But then an ultimate dimension version of Robotnik that was introduced in an earlier storyline ended up coming into this main universe and also modifying his body to look more like the Eggman in, like, the main game series and all that stuff at the time.
Oh, the Archie comics were freaking wild, dude.
Yeah.
Freaking wild.
Yeah.
Instead of just changing appearances, they had to make up these freaking storylines as to why these characters changed.
Yes.
Sonic's got green eyes and new shoes. Make it some form of radiation.
Yes, I'm pretty much aware. But speaking of the Archie comics, perhaps it's now time to get into the controversy that there's a fact that probably not.
I'll just say this for pros. I mean, it was a good movie in the sense that it tried to stick to the source material without overdoing or without literally basically made its own storyline.
Yeah.
For the cons, I still think they maybe spent too much time on the human characters. And I'm not saying that was a bad thing. I just think that they could have still had to be a focus point, but shortened it.
Yeah. Well, compared to like early CGI live action of
maybe just not using certain things that they could have, but beyond that, I mean, obviously the biggest con being that they still can't get actual Sonic music into the damn movies.
I guess Sega's too tight with copyright.
Bastards.
Despite being partly in production of this film.
Yeah.
It's given their Sega logo at the beginning, but
yeah.
But yeah. But I definitely say probably in terms of humans taking screen time from live action CGI character movies, this one is one of the least big offenders compared to say like the Michael Bay Transformers movies as a one example that most fans absolutely hate. But anyway, but yeah. Overall, I would probably say this movie isn't. I'd say this movie is probably at best a 7 out of 10. It's an enjoyable ride, not something you shouldn't take too serious. Perhaps a few moments that take too long and a bit cringy at times, but it's a fun movie.
Well, I mean, it's what the toppest grossing video game movie for a reason.
Yeah, it's surpassed both Detective Pikachu and Sonic. And arguably, out of the 3 blockbuster films I watched last month in April when this came out, being Morbius and Fantastic Beasts 3, I'd definitely say this one was probably the best.
Did they really call it Fantastic? I mean the
Well,
Dumbledore? Yeah.
Yeah, The Secrets of Dumbledore. I just call it Fantastic Beasts 3 to just be a bit quicker.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen that movie, but
no, I didn't see it yet. I mean, I don't know if I would or not anyway,
yeah.
but
well, to be fair, seems like most people aren't really that keen on it. My guess is due to the controversy just that keeps on surrounding it and J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
That and last film wasn't exactly well received.
Yeah.
So yeah, but anyway, let's see. But yeah, I gave it a 7 out of 10, and I assume that's a score you probably agree with, or would you give it a higher or lower?
I don't know. I thought it was was its reception an 8 out of 10?
Let's see. Well, according to critic scores, it's got, let's see, on let's see, for Rotten Tomatoes, I believe 67% of critics gave it a positive review and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, could you repeat that?
All I said is based on the Metacritic scores, it's like a 47 out of 100.
Okay. So
otherwise, I mean, what the average critic on Rotten Tomato has it like 5.9 out of 10.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. At least 96% of the audiences liked the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Post-Trek gave it an 87% positive score. 74 saying they'd recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was. I don't know. I thought it was a decent movie. Not well. I say decent, but I mean it in the nicest of ways when I say decent movie. So, if I'm going out on a limb here, your 7 would probably be the low ball. The highest I would probably go for is 8.5.
Oh.
And I'm just saying that if you're. And that's the high ball. So I'd say in between, it's probably like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah. Fair enough. I'd probably say it probably is an 8 to 8.5 out of 10 if it's on an enjoyable level, I suppose. It's more of a 7 on.
It doesn't try to tell you any differently. So it doesn't like try to do something that you wouldn't expect from it.
Yeah. I mean, the movie, if you're an adult, you're probably going to be able to predict it quite easily.
It used its source material well. So
yeah. It's it's probably one of the best video game adaptations ever made. Probably even the best, maybe.
Right. But nothing short of somehow being able to fit in a whole game into a movie would probably make it any better. But that at the same time, you're going to get people that tell you anyway that, well, the games don't really have that good of story in the first place.
Well, to be fair, the early Sonic games were more about gameplay than telling a story. So, and to be fair, even some of the modern day Sonic games are more about the gameplay than the story.
Yeah.
Let's see. Granted, from what I can tell, depending on what type of fan, you either like the more story-driven games or you like the more just gameplay-based games. But that's all that stuff. But yeah.
Well, yeah, that depends on you, but I don't know. Sonic as a series has always been a platformer, a speed-based platformer. So take of that what you will for a movie plot.
Yeah. So anyway,
I thought the labyrinthine was awesome.
Oh, that's good.
Just saying, I thought the labyrinth scene was really well played out.
Oh yeah, that was quite good. Something you expect to see in a Sonic movie.
Yes.
Anyway, now we've got like our scores out. Let's go to perhaps some of the behind the scenes stuff and like see hopes for the sequels and all that stuff. But first
Sure,
off,
why not?
let's see. We'll go with the controversy. Apparently, Knuckles' father. Let's see. Apparently, Ken. Let's see. Apparently, some fans informed Ken Penders, who has not even seen the film, that they have based it off of this comic book storyline and all that stuff, and the father he created for Knuckles. And for those who are watching this review and have gotten to this point, don't know who Ken Penders is, as we mentioned about Archie Sonics being a bit earlier before, he was one of the big writers for the comic book series. In fact, he's arguably the one that gave it the most sort of lore, if you will.
Yeah.
Especially with the echidnas.
Especially with the echidnas.
Yeah, he makes Kishimoto's Uchiha favoritism look tame in comparison.
Yeah, Ken Penders seems to think that him making just different versions of the echidnas were his own characters, and because of how badly Archie Comics, wrote their bylaws, he technically won on a technicality, so he was able to, remove them from existence.
But yeah, he pretty much owns Sonic characters that no one is interested in unless they're in a Sonic comic.
Yep.
Which is a bit, yeah, but so while he may have like created much of like the Sonic lore of the comic books, he is also perhaps arguably enough one of the few things that can unite Sonic fans on with their hatred for this particular man.
Right.
As a result of him, Archie Sonic probably had to do an Infinite Crisis reboot thing, removing many of the beloved characters that the comic book series had made at that time.
Right.
Eventually, even some would even argue probably started the long-term downfall of the Archie comics, losing the rights to the Britzy series entirely, and then moved to IDMW and all that stuff.
Right.
But yeah. But let's see, but the characters he did make were all just pretty much copies of, let's see, of like this the game characters. Really, they just look like.
Yeah, he made Scourge. He made Scourge. He made the Echidnas, Julie Sue, all that. Yeah, none of them matter.
Yeah.
I mean, Scourge was cool, but I mean,
yeah,
it's just Sonic recolored.
Yeah. To be fair, let's see. And to be fair, when it comes to Scourge, who was originally anti-Sonic when Ken Penders did it, because apparently he got the idea from DC with the, let's see, Evil Justice League, if you will, because I think he was DC for a while. From what I can tell, many of these characters and many of this lore that he did only really became well received and popular when he wasn't writing it, and you had someone like Ian Flynn, reinventing those characters.
Yeah.
Especially Scourge. But funny enough, I did. Sorry, go on.
I said yes. That's it. I don't need to say anything more beyond that.
So, let's see. But funny enough, apparently there was going to be a Scourge comic book coming out, but the backlash against it by some sort of comic book company did also, let's see, from fans, result in that comic being cancelled, and the last two Chronicles are nowhere near in sight. Oh yeah, and let's see. Also, Ken Penders is also responsible for perhaps preventing another Sonic movie from happening. Because the Sonic Set AM ended on a cliffhanger, right?
Yes.
Apparently, the creator behind that was wanting to do a movie of it and was trying to sell a pitch to Sega, and he got Ken Penders involved. But apparently, Ken Penders, according to him, gave a very bad impression to Sega, like making you imply that the dude that was doing the AM cartoon thinks he was better than Sega or something, and as a result, Sega rejected his plans and all that stuff, and he never got to do Sonic continuation of Set AM and all that stuff before he died.
Oh wow, yeah.
So you can see a lot of Set AM fans also despising Ken Penders for that.
Normal.
And he also tried to make his own Sonic movie. I think Sonic Armageddon or Sonic Apocalypse or something.
No, I don't really keep up with Ken Penders these
Yeah.
days.
I've seen the trailer, and it's like this is like some bad fan film thing in which let's see what he was doing, and apparently he even got his own kids in it to narrate and all that stuff. I mean, it's like
No,
why are you doing this?
because Ken Penders is weird and he wants to stay relevant, but no one's
Yeah,
gonna pay attention to him, which is like I'm not doing.
yeah,
So I
but
don't care what the hell he does.
yeah, so I'm just going to just sum up why I was just bringing it up. Apparently, let's see, Knuckles' father, who's not even named in the movie, is apparently based off of his, which apparently he has not seen the movie, so he's now trying to sue Paramount for copyright and all that stuff.
It's not gonna work.
No,
If it works, then Ken Penders is probably the only legal man that can somehow figure out some way to cheat the legal system.
yeah, that or let's see, Paramount is just even more incompetent than Archie Comics was at the time of this lawsuit, which I somehow doubt they are. I have, let's see, Paramount, I'm pretty certain, being one of the biggest film studios out there, will probably easily crush Ken Penders.
I could see that very much happening, yes.
Yeah. Which, let's see, should have happened with like Sega and Archie, and which it did happen in EA. And also, I probably also argued due to Ken Penders as it's the involvement, it's the meddling and all that stuff. Sega put quite a few rules when it came to the Sonic comics and perhaps maybe even Sonic media as a whole, such as no romance, no relatives. Oh, and Sonic cannot lose or cry or something.
Oh, well. Yeah, I do know that mandate, which is why Sonic was not allowed to really show like super emotion.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a shame because I think that adds some interesting stuff to the character, but unfortunately, it's the old Ritzy, I guess you could say pre-Ritzy Archie Comics timeline is probably the only time you're going to get stuff like that in it.
Yeah.
And as a result, we're probably not going to see any of the, let's see, Set AM characters anytime soon. Well, definitely not in the films, at least. But anyway, but yeah, so with that out of the way, the controversy thing is, let's see, the sequels. From what we can tell, we know at least there's going to be Sonic 3 coming out, which is definitely going to involve Shadow. And apparently there's going to be a Paramount Plus, let's see, series that stars Knuckles, which at first I thought was supposed to be a movie, but apparently it's becoming a TV series.
On Netflix?
No, Paramount Plus.
Oh, it's on Paramount, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it's on Paramount. It's made by Paramount.
Yeah. It's because everyone's got their own streaming service.
Yeah, Sonic Prime's on Netflix.
Yeah, Sonic Prime's on Netflix, which we can probably talk about a bit if you want, but
Nah, I just figured I'd bring it up anyway, just with
Yeah.
that nod for the Netflix. Yeah, Prime's coming out, guys.
Though whether or not that season survives more than one show survives more than one season, given Netflix's current state of affairs right now, remains to be seen. But it's probably also coming. But we're probably also getting more Sonic Ritzy related media things because well, probably due to the movie. Movie's doing so well.
It's gonna give every opportunity.
Yep. So yeah, Sonic 3. It's pretty much going to be somewhat loosely adapted from Adventures 2.
The second movie, yes.
Yeah.
What it could be, we don't know. But it'll be interesting to say the least if well, again, it's funny enough, it's probably going to have to play out exactly like this movie.
Yeah.
Shadow appears to be like the antagonist, and all of a sudden we get the actual antagonist at the end.
Yeah.
Whether it's a giant space battle out in space, or if it's another battle in Green Hills, we've yet to know that. But it's going to be interesting. I think I don't even know. That film probably has no idea when it's coming out. I'd say 2024, but
we'll have to wait and see.
Yep. It didn't take long for the second movie. It only took 2 years.
Yeah, I must admit.
Meaning they already had this in most of it already done in advance.
Yeah. Granted, I think due to the fact that some people forget that, probably due to the fact that the MCU movies release so many movies that a year, most sequels probably take about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Well, this one I think they already came out and said even before the movie aired that they were going to make a movie universe. So clearly they already had 3 in mind by the time that this released. So
Yeah.
it wouldn't be surprising to me if they already have like a third of the film done. So
Now, as for why probably Adventure 2 doing it, well, they're probably, of course, making Shadow the Hedgehog the second most popular character.
yeah.
And probably one of the arguably, besides maybe Knuckles, to do that can probably get his own proper spin off and all that stuff. But they probably
Shadow could do a spin-off if he wanted.
Yeah.
Or if they wanted.
Yeah. Now, granted, they're probably not going to use the Shadow the Hedgehog video game storyline.
Although he could be he could work for Gunn.
Yeah. They'll probably have him work with Gunn at the end, though. They're probably not going to try and do the self-sacrifice thing, really, because, of course, they want to do a spin-off, and they don't want to do the mystery of the amnesia thing.
We're going to do heroes. Oh, boy. We're going to introduce, like, 9 more characters.
Yeah. I feel like some of those characters will probably, if some of those characters do get introduced, I'd say a Team Cha, I believe. No, the one with the crocodile, SBO, and the bee.
Team Chaotic.
Team Chaotic, sorry.
Victor, Charmy, and SBO, yes.
Yeah, Victor, Charmy, and SBO. If they do end up appearing, they'll probably appear in the Knuckles spin-off series, since they're more of Knuckles support characters.
That'd be interesting. That actually would be cool, though.
Yeah.
Might even get Mighty the Armadillo.
Fair enough, but yeah. If they're going to do that, that's probably what they're going to try and do. Let's see. Shadow probably do some loose adaptations of like probably storylines that Shadow has had post Adventures 2, but probably not a full-on adaptation because, well, let's see. Since Shadow Hedgehog was a bust, 06 was also a bust in terms of reputation. I do know that. I do hear that the storyline for Shadow in 06 was well received.
Well, 06 in its own is a mystery wrapped in basically what the hell happened. Because the game itself had a lot going for it. The presentation also had a lot going for it. The actual gameplay was a bugged up mess.
Now, I actually bought a pre-owned copy at one of my game shop stores and all that stuff because I'm just kind of curious to see how buggy it is. I've yet to play it, but who knows?
Yeah, you can luck out sometimes and it doesn't do what happens to some people, but really the problem is there's just a lot of incomplete animations.
Fair enough.
A lot of not well programmed sections. And just a lot of things that just pop up on screen that can cause you to basically spaz out.
Yeah, and also Sonic being kissed by a human princess.
You're talking story now, but yes,
but
if you make it that far,
but yeah, it gets that's the one storyline scene that gets a bit of infamy from the game.
It's an anthropomorphic animal. What is the problem here? We had Shrek for crying out loud.
Not to be fair, Fiona did turn into an ogre, but
yes.
No, granted, I do know that the games originally were supposed to have a human girlfriend, but then did Sally Acorn and all that stuff, basically one of the chimp mucks that Sonic saved, and then eventually they just stuck with Amy Rose, or at least a one-sided romance.
Yeah, they like to keep it opened at best in the game. Yeah. Sometimes Sonic won't be outright against whatever Amy's doing. Sometimes he will, depending on who's writing the game.
Let's see. Now, as for the Knuckles series, I recall there was a few Knuckles games out at the time of the peak of its popularity. Though I don't know how well received those games were.
Why is it so hard for this? What?
I was talking about let's see what they might try and do the Knuckles series on.
Knuckles series, yeah.
I know he has a few of his own video games, but I can't recall if they were well received or poorly received or not.
The only Knuckles games I know, the only Knuckles game I knew was Team Chaotic.
Fair enough.
It was. It's got a niche franchise following now, but I don't know if it really sold well back in the day.
So I'm not sure they're going to try and do that storyline, or they're just coming up with something else. But they might, instead of doing like given the facts like Free's going to be doing Adventure 2, they might just perhaps maybe do Sonic Adventure, or at least the Knuckles part of that in like the TV series, and have like Chaos as like an antagonist for a different movie, or perhaps even miniseries thing, if you will. No, granted. It's very interesting to see how long Sega wants to make this Sonic cinematic universe last for, if you will.
Well, Paramount's gonna milk it for all it's worth.
Mm-hmm. I mean, as far as I can tell, there's probably only like a few more movies. They could probably make like at least 3 or maybe three more movies after Sonic 3, perhaps, maybe even 4. But I mean, it really depends on how much the game storylines they want to adapt.
They're able to do whatever they want.
It's possible they might try and do like a big Sonic Heroes kind of like thing as a finale, if you will.
They could do that, or again, they could just make their own story at that point. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
They already did it with the first one.
Yeah. It could be possible that they do try to eventually bring in characters like Metal Sonic and Chaos as antagonists.
Right.
Let's see. Now, granted, what they do with Robotnik after, with like Jim Carrey and all that stuff, though he might appear for Sonic 3, who knows? Or who knows? But let's see. They clearly have also something planned with the Doctors, with this Mr. Stone fella, if you ask me. Now, granted, Mr. Stone appears to be the sort of like the henchman robot. Granted, in his case, human. Let's see, henchman that you see Eggman and Robotnik having various points in different media. Like the original Sonic cartoon, Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon had Scratch and Grounder. Cyan had Snively, which arguably makes him the first human henchman since Snively. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Underground, you had Sleet and Dingo. Sonic X, you had those 2 robots and that other robot that had the explosion television. And with Sonic Boom, you had Cubot and Orbot that were created in some of the recent Sonic games, I understand. Usually there to criticize Eggman and plans, if I recall. Or at least they did in Sonic Unleashed.
Cubot and Orbot?
Yeah.
I guess. Cubot and Orbot. Well, Cubot, when introduced in Unleashed, was pretty sarcastic. Then in Colors, when they introduced him in Cubot, they kind of became more comedic relief, more so than kind of talking about Eggman. Poorly devised plans.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I haven't played Sonic Colors, but I just know from the opening you have that one bit where Eggman's laughing and you have the 2 robots running away with this Cubot that's like, or is it actually Orbot being like, oh, here we go again. So I thought that at least was still part of the character. But yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. So we know that there's Sonic 3 and the Knuckles thing. We're probably also going to get a spin-off of Shadow. Can you see any other kind of spin-offs happening besides maybe those 2 or?
No.
Fair enough.
That's easy.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But
there's no other characters that would make any
popularity.
sense to have anything. I mean, it only works.
Mm-hmm. I
Knuckles
mean, maybe. Let's see. Maybe they
Shadow.
could do. Sorry. Yeah, Knuckles and Shadow. Maybe they could do like a. Let's see. Granted, perhaps maybe a mini series with Tails, I guess. But that'll probably also be a Paramount Plus thing. But
Tails is not interesting enough to do a mini series about.
Fair enough. But yeah. Other than that, that's what we got. So, do you think they'll do, let's see, a Sonic 4 and beyond, or you think Sonic 3 will be where they end it?
I just said that they were planning on doing a multiverse, so it's going to be as long as they want.
Mm-hmm.
It could end at 3, sure, but I mean, the reality is, again, if they're looking into doing a multiverse, then they're just going to keep doing whatever they want.
Fair enough.
So they don't even have to follow the games, or they could follow the games. I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they tackle the Unleash subplot, or if they do the really ridiculous 06 subplot, which would, well, based on the game, there's no way to even make that movie because it would just essentially write itself out anyway. So
Yeah.
you could do Sonic Runners, you could do Sonic Rivals, you could do Sonic Riders.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a whole bunch.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games. There's a lot of spin-off games. There's a lot of editing things, but you know.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Uh-huh.
But so besides Adventures 2, which one would you most likely want to see?
I mean, like I said, the Unleashed storyline would be interesting the most.
Okay, fair enough.
Blowing up the planet to get to Dark Gaia.
Oh yeah, let's see. Fair enough. So I guess let's see. Fair enough. I suppose we should be close to wrapping up this stream soon. Though, is there anything else you want to talk about with the movie that that needs left to be said?
No, we covered everything.
Fair enough. So I guess to sum it up, we have we have discussed the movie. We talked what we liked and disliked about it. We talked about the potential future with it. And I suppose one last question is: would you recommend this movie to anyone? To anyone that isn't a Sonic fan?
I mean, it doesn't hurt to recommend it. I don't know if they'd see it, but I would always at least say, "Hey, give it a shot. It's a pretty fun movie."
Fair enough. It's definitely a movie you'd probably recommend to people, regardless if they know anything about Sonic or not. Mm-hmm.
The first movie, but you know.
Yeah. So yeah. So overall, like I said, 7 to 8 out of 10. Let's see. Anyway, MangaReader, thank you for joining me. Thank you for your insight on Sonic. Whether or not we do this again with Sonic, let's see, in the future, who knows, though. We have to wait and see the movies and Paramount shows, though granted, I don't have any access to the Paramount stuff. But who knows, maybe when that Sonic Prime comes out, we can discuss it if you want.
Yep.
So yes or no?
What, when it comes out, the movie?
No, the Sonic Prime.
Oh, Prime? I don't have Netflix, but I guess eventually I could talk about it.
But yeah, I guess when Sonic 3 comes out, we could also discuss it. Or you're not interested in, or you're only just interested in this one stream.
Again, it would have to. Whenever Prime comes out, I'd have to look into it first.
Sorry, I meant Sonic 3 at that time.
Sonic 3? We don't even know when that's coming out.
Fair enough. Well, I'm clearly just dragging this on now. Sorry about that.
Yeah, why do you keep asking me questions for about things that I have no control over?
Sorry. But I guess life, you just gotta go fast and not think about stuff. But
yeah, well, maybe not.
Enough. Anyway.
Yep.
Thank you for joining me, MangaReader. I'm Blue Star Saver.
I'm MangaReader.
And we are signing off. Thank you for everyone for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the stream on review if you managed to last this long.
Yeah, gotta go fast, guys.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. And we'll see you next time. Let's see. Good luck, everyone, and goodbye.
Goodbye.